Welcome back to Rohrich Knows Best podcast, helping you become a better and more informed you. So let's take a deep dive into regenerative medicine. Now, what does that mean today, and how do we apply that to our patients? Because the days of the fillers are fading, and the days of regenerative medicine are coming alive. So I'm really pleased to have with me Dr. Alex Gordon, who really is an experienced and expert in this arena, and she runs the Renew Aesthetics Spa in South Lake, and she's a surgeon, and she's really a phenomenal physician and individual. And we're going to talk about what is the hype, what is the reality today of fillers versus biostimulators versus regenerative medicine. So give us your perspective on that.
I gotcha. It's definitely confusing to patients.
Right.
You hear this word regenerative, and it gets put out there as natural and this and that. And yes, there's very much validity to it being more natural. I think fillers, like you said, are taking a back seat.
Yeah.
Fillers are meant to fill,
Right.
not to necessarily lift or.
Oh God, no.
Like it had been kind of sold for a while.
Right.
And so I think the regenerative aesthetics is the wave of the future. I personally love it. I think that there's so much potential, and people are starting to be more health conscious and just more aware of what's going in their bodies. And why not use what we already have,
Right.
or what's natural to help us create what we lost?
Right, exactly right. And of course, we're both surgeons, and so and as a facial cosmetic surgeon, I use fat grafting all the time. That's the ultimate regenerative filler because It's got stem cells, and we take it from our own body. It's the best filler. I mean, I did a facelift today, and we put fat in there, and we also lift and fill. And it's the best. It's the prima sine qua non filler. I mean, it's the best regenerative agent we have by far. And but then there are the biostimulators and then the fillers. So let's talk about the fillers first. I mean, fillers are. I mean, they're good. They're good things. They're hyaluronic acid. They're bioengineered, and they're hopefully biodegradable long term, the hyaluronic acid fillers. So they're good. It's just that I think they've been used and abused, again, by injectors that have been putting in too much, of the overfilled, overdone look.
Mm-hmm.
Overfilled is done, and that's
Thank goodness.
And thank goodness. And I think that's why, we've talked about this, that when we see our patients, we direct them toward what looks good on them, not what's look good in our pocketbook.
Exactly.
And so, but I mean, I still love fillers. I love using them. I just use them judiciously. So how about you?
Same. I tell people that fillers are meant to fill spaces
Right.
that have appeared.
Right.
It's to fill spaces, not
Right.
to create something that wasn't there to begin with.
Right.
Especially if you're going for the natural look.
Right.
Anatomically, as we age, we lose fat. It shifts. So
Right.
we gain fat in some areas, and we're just adding back what's gone.
Right, exactly. And, and until now, I mean, and honestly, taking fat is an operative procedure, and it should be done in a sterile environment. So it's a little bit harder to do, fat grafting in the office. I prefer to do it in the operating room. Now, there are some new venues that we'll talk about here, Renuva and Lipoderma and all of these other things that are not a donor cadaver fat that actually are pretty reasonable. But I agree. I mean, so fillers used in the right hands are still good tools. Just don't overdo them.
Exactly.
Like in the lips and the cheeks. And I think people are kind of, calming down and finally looking at it. And even the influencers are pulling back. The Kardashian group is taking their
Dissolving
their fillers in their lips and their face and everywhere else. And, it's kind of the dissolving.
The deflation.
The deflation era. And so I think that's a good thing. But fillers they're safe. I mean, there's about 20 of them that are approved. And, except for one that actually is more long term. I think basically you should use one that's a hyaluronic acid type filler.
Absolutely.
And so what about the biostimulators? I mean, that's always a very cosmic word that people say, I'm using a biostimulator. It's like, are you ready to take off in a rocket ship? So what is a biostimulator?
Well, if it gave us rocket power, that'd be amazing. But essentially, there are two main ones that
Yeah.
people talk about: the PLLA,
Yeah.
and then I don't know if I'm supposed to mention brands,
No,
but
you can say that's
okay. So
Sculptra.
it's Sculptra,
Yeah.
and then there's Radius,
Right.
and
Calcium hydroxyapatite. Yeah.
right, exactly. And so those, especially Radius, is kind of multifunctional. So
Yeah.
it can be used as a filler look to fill in the missing
Well.
spaces, but it also, once injected, stimulates collagen production
Right.
and elastin over time. And so, and same with Sculptra. And if done correctly in the right layer of the
Right.
face, it gives beautiful results. It's actually, I'm loving it. I just had it injected myself, and I think it's fabulous. And then one day you wake up, you forget you've done it, and you go, "Wow, I look good."
Yeah.
So,
No, I
it's
agree.
fabulous.
So basically, they're not a filler; they're a biostimulator, like you mentioned. So they, one does it by Sculptra does it by an inflammatory response, although now it's been shown that it may even have a neocollagenesis response. But calcium hydroxyapatite Radius has it. It causes collagenesis,
Right.
and the difference is that you have to do serial treatments with Sculptra 6 to 12 weeks apart, and then with Radius you get more of a lasting effect initially. And but they're both very good fillers. Again, and the biggest thing is our facelift surgeon, and we talk about this all the time. People, again, some quote unquote influencers say it's so bad and everything. It's bad if done by bad injectors. If you put fillers too deep, even an HA filler, or you put Sculptra or Radius too deep into the SMAS plane, into the deep plane, yeah, it's
It'll scar.
going to be
Yeah.
very bad. And I think that's what people don't understand, versus kind of taking broad strokes and saying, oh, they're terrible. They're terrible if done by injectors that don't know what they're doing, or going too deep.
Or doing too much.
Or doing too much,
right,
yeah. Too
right.
deep, too much, just not knowing the anatomy.
Right.
And I think that's what's so important. And I think people need to understand that. So and I get asked that always by the companies, and my response is that we use it all the time. I mean, we use it every day, and it's a great thing. It's an adjunct. And honestly, it's an adjunct even after surgery, in a judicious amount, in the right place, in the right plane. But don't put it in the deep plane or the SMAS.
That's right. I like to tell patients it's kind of the frosting on the cake.
Right.
You get the structure, you
Right.
get the strategic filler, and then it's icing on the cake to build the collagen. And
Right.
yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. So let's go to the ultimate. Now, today, this is the hype, but this is the reality of the regenerative, the avenue, and I think fat is back, and so is this new platelet-derived growth factor, PDGF. And these are the beginning of the regenerative modes of facial and body rejuvenation. And, the stepping stone to that has been, the donor adipose-derived matrices, which, comes from donor fat or cadaver fat, Renuva and lipoderma and several of these other derivatives that actually come, off the shelf, which obviously makes it a little easier to do. And I think they are great because they're matrices that actually help stimulate the body, or to have the body bring in their own fat. And I think that's a good thing to do. And so tell me a little bit about how you use that, and how do you use PDGF, which has been a very hot topic, but a very well-studied topic. And I'd like to dispel some of the crazy myths
good.
about PDGF. And, it's got, 5 FDA approvals.
It's been around for 15 years
yeah, it's got
in the orthopedic world, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
orthopedic, wound healing, oral surgery, all those areas. It's been amazing. It's an FDA-approved growth factor, which, it's thousands of times more potent than PRF, platelet-derived growth factor, platelet-derived growth factor.
all the
PRF,
things,
PRP, PRF. It's been so much more powerful than that, which you have to take your own blood and spin it, and then,
And hope you have growth factors.
Right,
that are
exactly.
working. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right,
Yeah.
because, platelet-derived PRF and PRP are great in young people, but if the growth factors are good in young people, but if you're older than 50, they may not be so good. That's where
That's right.
PDGF comes into place.
Or if you have an autoimmune disorder, right? And that can
Right.
affect growth factors.
Exactly right. So I think that people have, or some of the quasi-influencers have kind of just taken it to the wrong turn. And
unfortunate.
right, and I think the company is an amazing science-based company. I mean, I don't know how many companies have done millions and millions in FDA approval trials. I mean, it's unbelievable, and that's what this company called Ariessence has done. And I don't have any interest in the company, but I just look at the science, and as science speaks for itself. And I love using it. I mean, I use it in my lasers as topical. It's approved only for topical. And there's off-label uses, and we're actually in the process of doing some IRB approved studies to use it in hair, but also for
Tear troughs.
Tear troughs,
Yes.
yeah. So we're beginning IRB approved studies to show how it works and how well it does work. And I must say, I've used it in over 150 facelifts. I inject it in the layer before I close because I used to do platelet-derived growth factor. I used to put in PRP in that area just to decrease bruising and swelling, and now I use PDGF since it's over the counter.
And it's wound healing.
It's wound
like you
healing.
said.
Yeah, it's the best, most thousands of times more potent than any other of PRF or PRP. So I've been doing that, and it's amazing. So I've been using it for that, and now we're doing these FDA these IRB approved trials. So how about you? What have you been doing?
Well, I love it too, and I've used it off-label on myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And for my tear troughs, and
Yeah.
I had dark circles since I was a kid. It's genetic,
Right.
all the things, and I've had such great results, and that fear mongering it was just so disheartening for a while. So I'm so glad. Thank you for doing studies.
Well, we're doing them,
know.
and I've done myself and my nurse practitioner have done many of these patients. And the key is, again, you have to understand the dynamics and the biology of how PDGF heals. So,
Right.
in other words, you have to inject it and blend it deep. You can't put it superficial
Superficially,
because, and you don't get a reaction. You get collagenesis and growth because you're really stimulating growth because there's a growth factor. So you're
Right.
stimulating collagen in those areas. So you want to do it in the deep subcutaneous layer. So it's all these things that if you understand the science of PDGF, then you understand how powerful it is and how pivotal it is going to be in the next generation of regenerative medicine. So I think that, along with fat and the donor site fat, is going to be, I think it's, to me, the next wave. And people today are really wanting something that's looking more natural, like we've talked about.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely, and just even knowing that there are trillions of growth factors compared to who knows how many in my 50-something-year-old blood.
Right.
It's reliable. I think that's, like you said, the science, knowing the anatomy, knowing the potential of the studies from other fields
Right.
that are already there. 15 million people have been treated with this particular product.
Yeah.
I have some fat that I can donate to.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that would be awesome. Yeah.
Right. No, I know. I mean, it's
amazing.
It's an amazing company with amazing science, and I think we just need to kind of steer it back and get everybody on the same track, and that's on science. And
That's right.
science doesn't lie or deceive, and so we're just going to be able to put that out there and talk about how important it is, and also how good it'll be. And this is just the beginning. If this is the first FDA-approved growth factor, there'll be many more coming. And there's also, the craziness now is peptides. None of those are FDA-approved, and of course, everybody.
We're all on them.
Everybody's using them, and of course, the GLP-1s are the premier peptide. But I mean, all these other ones, isomorelin, and all of the other peptides, which have actually no FDA approval, except, of course, the GLP-1s have FDA approval,
Right.
but off-label for the use in weight loss. But so I think that people need to take a deep breath and look at the science. So Alex, what would you tell our viewers when they're looking to get some non-surgical facial fillers or rejuvenation? What would you tell them when you see them? And how would you guide them?
Well, I think the consultation process is the key, and
Yeah.
just knowing what the goals are, explaining how aging affects what goal they're trying to achieve, and then carefully assessing. And my rule of thumb is I'm not afraid to say no.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't need something, or they come in and say, "Oh, I want 2 syringes of filler here," or take one and split it up everywhere, I'm not afraid to say no, and that's doing a disservice. And if somebody's a surgical candidate, I'm going to send them your way.
Yeah.
It's just, this is what can be achieved. These are the expectations. I love the regenerative, but I'm all about the holistic approach, so the multimodality. So we do the skin tone and texture, then we go to layer number 2, then we go to layer number 3, and that's how I like to explain it. It's a 3D face. You have to think in 3D.
Right, exactly. And it's not, and you're so right. The skin is the biggest organ in the body, and actually you have to take care of your skin, which of course, wasn't the subject talk about. It's it's skincare. Skincare. It's the the use of retinols, the vitamin C, and the antioxidants, and of course sunscreen, all those things that are mandated to do. And I think all those are great horizons. So it's great. So wise words, great advice from Dr. Gordon on the next generation of quote-unquote fillers. The regenerative generation is coming soon, and it's here now. So please give us your thoughts, give us your comments, and thank you so much for subscribing. Like and subscribe to not only my podcast, which is on Apple and Spotify, but also on my YouTube channel. Thank you again. Until next time, stay safe and stay informed.